It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, on top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
It's a Thursday, everybody. Welcome to it. This is ZiFM Sport on a Thursday. Throwback Thursday, the show that's short, sharp, and sweet as we take you closer to your sports stars. My name is Sean Tafirenyika. I hope you are being safe. Tonight, we're going to keep it local and we're going to talk to a local rugby star who was recently named the best backline player for 2019. Care to guess who it is?
Hi, this is Alexandra Maseko, and I'm the national basketball team captain, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z.
Our guest tonight is women's rugby player Lindiwe Munerenyu. Now, Lindy plays a club rugby for All Georgians women's team. She's also on the Zimbabwe Women Sevens rugby team, the Lady Cheetahs, and the national 15s team, the Lady Sables. Now, we caught up with her today and we talked about how she got into rugby, making a national team debut, as well as a passion for the development of sport. So let's dial it back to young Lindy. How did she get into rugby?
Well, the former Sables coach for the men's, Cyprian Mandenge, introduced it at Eaglesville. So when he did, I was one of the first people he approached and said, Lindy, would you be interested in playing rugby? So at first I was quite, skeptical about it, but I was willing to try it because I was an all-rounder anyway. There was nothing that people could present to me that I didn't want to, feel defeated about. So I tried it, and other girls started trying it as well, and it was something that we enjoyed. So from that time onwards in high school, we just moved till now.
So is this back in Form 1?
Actually, it was around Form 4. And, till now, yes.
So when you say you're an all-rounder, what other sports were you playing?
I was playing basketball at the time. I was really good at it. I was an athlete. We used to sprint. I used to specialize in field work as well. I was a long jumper. I was in a relay even for the province with the team we had at that time. So we were actually doing pretty well in terms of other sports.
Yeah,
and then rugby just took me, and I started soaring with that.
So then how would you describe the sort of like the skills that you attained from athletics and basketball, transferring them into a sport like rugby? How did that help you, just be a really good rugby player?
I actually realized that everything started working out for the greater good of rugby, because with all that speed that I had, I got into the rugby setup and I was moving. And, with basketball, it needs so much endurance. It needs your energy, it needs you to jump, it needs you to work hard on your fitness. And rugby needs that as well. So all those sports molded me into the rugby player that I am now. And without those sports, I don't think I would have gone this far.
Yeah. And what would you say drew you to rugby exactly? Because the stereotype is that it's a very aggressive sport, especially for women. But yet you took it like a duck to water.
Well, I fell in love with it in high school from watching the guys from my school playing it. The kit was really nice. We supported them so well, and even when the girls were playing the sports, when we had our games, they would come and support. So I fell in love with it because of everyone else around me that were giving that support.
What was your first realization that, I'm actually really good at this?
I think it came when I was scoring the most tries. I was undefeated in high school. I even had feedback from certain girls telling me that they had to quit after me. And as much as it was an honor, it was also one of those, curses, because I did want them to carry on. But that's when I started believing in myself, because other girls were telling me that, you are our competition. And because of that, it gave me more pressure to want to be better and better and better.
So where exactly in the backline do you play? Where were you scoring your tries from?
Okay, so I used to play as a wing most of my high school life. And because, it's high school, I used to get into certain positions that were not even mine to a certain extent, And that's how passionate I was. I was just all over. I remember my coach at the time, Abigail Kawonza, she'd be like, just get the ball and run. Because that's the most fundamental thing I needed to understand about my position. Get the ball and aim for a try. So I started realizing that I was scoring the most tries even when we went to play at Kotko, which is now Dairy Board.
Yeah.
I was scoring the same way, and it motivated me to carry on.
What was that Kotko experience like? First time, because Kotko was huge back in the day. I know that now is now called the Dairy Board School Rugby Festival. But
I think for a lot of people, Kotko was the in thing during that holiday. Kotko was that event you wanted to go to. People were going for outfits. Some were going for the actual sports. And, some of us were the people that were going for both. We were going for the actual sports. And just having to know that we now had to be watched, because we were used to watching others, but we were now the ones being watched. There was so much pressure, and them playing and hearing people cheering and hearing people amazed at what women could do. That was it. That was it.
And I know
it was amazing.
I know at Eaglesville there are quite a few rivalries, and you went undefeated. So I'm figuring that you took a lot of pride beating maybe the likes of Gateway is probably one of your main rivals, schools like Heritage.
They were for the men's, but I don't even think they were rivals, But yeah, I guess for the men's and for the women, our rivals were quite different. We had Girls Eye, we had Goromonzi at the time, if I'm not mistaken. There was even Bare. So those are the teams that were willing to play against us, and Ruzi. Those were our competition, but we did well with those.
So you've got this bubbling career in high school as a really good rugby player. Now, talk to me about the transition now to the national team, because it wasn't long before you made that jump to playing actual sevens rugby for the Lady Cheetahs.
It was different. There's a time when my coach tried to put me in the Zim setup when I think I was still in high school. We were playing against Zambia. I really did not know what I was getting myself into at the time, because I thought the same encouragement, the same energy I was putting in the high school rugby was the same that comes in the national setup. The national setup was different. I got the biggest handoff of my life during that time. And that's when reality kicked in that this is different. The energy the women in national have, the physique is different from high school. And the transition was quite hard because I had to step up. I had to shape up. I had to work extra hard because of where I was coming from. Other ladies had already had some, national training, national background, but I had to fight to fit into it so that I can gel with everyone else. And, coming from my high school experience, meeting women who come from different walks of life, it was different to gel, but we eventually got it.
So is that something that immediately jumped out to you, just the physicality of the game on senior level?
The physicality is serious. It's different. Even how you carry yourself, it's now different. You're not considering yourself when you move around anymore. You're considering that you're now a national player. So however you address others, whatever you do, you now have to acknowledge the fact that you represent your country.
So paint the picture. Tell me about your first cap, representing Zimbabwe, stepping out onto that field. How was it? Which team did you play against, and how were you feeling?
My first one was actually, I think, around the high school time, thereabout, and it was the Zambia one. That actually got me accredited for colors at school, and having to be the first woman at my school to wear a blazer based on rugby, that was different.
Colors, yeah.
That was very different. Apart from every other achievement I had, even in athletics and even in basketball, because I also had accreditation for even the province. But just having to wear one because I'm a female rugby player, it was amazing. It was amazing to just, attain that cap because of that hard work and not giving up.
So where was it? Where did Coach Abigail Kawonza say, Lindy, warm up, or you're going in, you're starting today?
We played that game at Harare Sports Club, and I was put after the first half. But, even just getting in there, like I said, I really did not know what I was getting myself into. And just looking at those Zambian women, it was just a lot. But, my teammates were very encouraging. They've always been encouraging in a very tough way. Yeah. In a very, very tough way.
Yeah, players often talk about how usually that first cap is never really that great, and then you find your footing and you're more comfortable with the game. Is that how you felt moving forward and just being intrinsically part of the national team setup?
Moving forward, just playing a game makes you nervous. Just being in that setup, the fact that you've attained that position is still pressure because you have to represent. You have to show your coaches, you have to show your nation that this is why you chose me. So it never really gets comfortable because you always want to show out. You always want to show people that this is why you've got me in this position. There's always pressure. It's less, but the pressure never just goes away.
What are some of your best memory and your main career highlights playing for the Zimbabwe national team?
Playing for the national team, it got me to go to Ireland, and we had a world qualifiers in, I think, 2016. It was a better platform. It was a bigger platform. That's international. Meeting other women that are focused, meeting other women older, way older, still playing rugby. It really challenged us as women in sport in Zimbabwe. It really challenged me, especially to say, if those women can do it, especially at that age, then I can do it. I still have more time. I still have more years to develop myself, to develop the club level, the national level, so that I can become a better me, so that we can become a better team.
Yeah. And talk to me about, playing those regional qualifiers. And I know that we fell just a little bit short, and then that's when your team went to Ireland for that repechage tournament. How was it now facing international competition and trying to make it for the Olympics? How would you describe the level of competition, just, seeing the other side of the world like that?
The level of competition is based on also the resources they have, which we did not have at the time. We've always been wanting sponsors to invest in us. We've always been asking people to come and support us because, their conditioning was different. They have gym facilities, they have resources that we at the time could not really have. So we noticed actually that if we were to have the same opportunities they have, we can soar the same way, if not better. Because if we could get to that level, and some of the scores, they were not that drastic for us to say, we're not good at what we do. We are, but we just need sponsors. We just need people that are willing to invest in us, in supplements, in gym facilities, in even motivating us in terms of what we wear. Because sometimes we're sharing and we have to give back the stuff. So what is it that we can then take home to say, I'm motivated to play in this team?
I can definitely say that the talent is there and the support is what's needed. I think this now leads me to, when I was reading up your story, what was really fascinating is how you've pretty much taken on the mantle to want to develop the game, especially for women in the country. And this led you to starting your own academy, and then you got all Georgians to launch a women's rugby team. Tell me about that.
It was quite challenging. I mean, I think in life, when you have an idea, it's important to find positive people around you that will encourage you. I did ask, 4 or 5 trusted people. 2 of them said, that's going to be difficult. I don't think all Georgians will say yes. And I had, 3 other people telling me, just do it. So I had to weigh down on what I feel as a person to say, I'm going to go and approach them. And funny enough, when I approached them, it was actually something that they were wanting to also do. It was somewhere in the pipeline. So I just presented something that, was working hand in hand with their vision. And to just be a part of that and to be on the forefront was very amazing for a lot of people and for me, because a lot of rugby people did support me in that eventually. And setting up a group of women to play this game was hard, because you're bringing different characters together to say we have a common thing, and that's rugby. We just want to play the sport. So we had to start by making sure people can gel, people are motivated. We even had people playing rugby from scratch, coming into the team, and some of them are now even in the Zim setup, being looked to be in the Zim setup. So it's been very encouraging. It was tough at first, but Grant Mitchell was there. He was always there to support and say, what can we do next? What can we do now? Putting it on Instagram, putting it on Facebook, in people's emails, even flyers in the community. It was hard to set up, but it's been paying off now, considering where we are.
And what drove you, to begin such an initiative? Because you created so many opportunities for women in the sport.
Indeed. Well, I think it was a calling. It was truly a calling, because I felt it, but God did it for me. I think it was just a calling. I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? We can't all be in, 3 clubs. Because at the time, only 3 clubs were really active, and that was Cubs, which belonged to Odararians. And then we had Harare Sports Club and Police. Those are the most active clubs. So we can't just have 3 clubs playing against each other. So we wanted to grow it, and by doing that, I was like, you know what? How about we just start our own thing, an academy? So we were OJs at first, and then progressing with time, we then moved to OGs.
And I have to say, OGs coming on board, it wasn't long before OGs started dominating women's rugby. How did you to get on the top, and yet you guys are still starting out, still feeling it out?
It was amazing. It was a combination of a lot of people. Grant being a part of it, committee members being a part of it, the coach being a part of it, encouraging the players to come to training, because we started off with Coach Sykes, and then he had to go to other commitments, and then we ended up having Coach Kim Maroa, and growing with a woman, woman to woman was something that has been in my vision to say, women can grow the sport. So it's been amazing to celebrate with, other women, a woman's achievement.
Yeah. And I know that it wasn't long, I think, before administrators saw that not only are you good on the field, but you also have talent in the office. And now I know that you're also involved with the Zimbabwe Rugby Union. Tell me about the work that you do with them and how you're helping in developing the game of rugby now on a national level.
Okay, so in terms of that, I was honored actually to be a part of the union, to be, part of the administration. It's really changed my perspective of rugby to see that it's actually something bigger than we can ever imagine. And it can actually grow to greater heights. whatever we see is not what's really there. It's actually bigger, and there's so much work to be done in terms of the nation to support the men's, to support the women, to be acknowledged internationally, to get that funding we desire, you know. Because maybe a lot of people just think there's not work that's being done in the office, but there is so much that's being done. There's so much groundwork. There is so much, damage control that has been done so far, to get to where we are. And being part of the office to see all those things happening was actually an honor.
That's awesome. And, we are running out of time. But before we go, you're now part of, you're one of the leading women in terms of developing the sport of rugby in the country. What would you like to see? What kind of support are you hoping, just to take our game to the next level as a nation?
From my point, I have a dream that one day the Minister of Sport, who's a woman, can actually call women like me into the office, to discuss where we can take rugby. Because, this is the opportunity we have, considering we have a woman in office, to develop this sport more. And I would love to see her calling me in the office to say, okay, what can we do? Because, I've personally gone to school for entrepreneurial development at a local university in order to grow the sport. I mean, if we could do it with an academy to grow it into getting into a club, what more can we do if we're given those opportunities?
Lindy, you are a rugby phenom, and just your amazing commitment and drive, I'm sure will just benefit us as a nation. Thank you so much for taking the time just to have a little chat with us. I know it's been a weird time, this Corona season and having to do this via Zoom, but thank you for taking
Indeed.
For your career and the work you're doing in rugby.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
No doubt, Lindy is certainly one of the players we'll keep an eye on as we continue to monitor her progress and how she's going to develop the game of rugby in the country. Unfortunately, we gotta go. We've run out of time. The full team will be back tomorrow for ZiFM Sport on a Friday, Fire Friday. Make sure that you tune in. But for now, I'll leave you listening to Lindy's favorite throwback tune. It's Blackstreet Boys. Don't Leave Me.